Hello everyone, this is Namita Shukla. I'm back again today with my new topic, which is a little different from my series of topics, and it is resume building. I have received tons of resume or lakhs of resumes during my period of work life, and I always used to wonder that why can't candidates think of what should be the right way of writing the resume. Now, it is something very basic, logical. If you will come on the other side of the table and sit on the table where you are receiving lakhs of resume, you will realize what you are looking at. Nobody has got the time to go through your resume, to go through in detail what you have written it. There are business people who are taking your interviews, there are HR people who are taking, they will be matching up, but they will be flipping through your resume. So we need to understand that what is the actual goal of my resume? Why are we writing the resume? During phase of our time, we kind of forget that. We think our resume is my car where I can take it to wherever I want. I can get the job whichever I want. Please understand, it is the other way around. This car, your employer is going to check whether this car will fit in my organization or not. It should contain what the employer is looking at rather than what you think that you should be giving away. At the same time, when you are giving it away to your employer. So the absolute goal of the resume is to entice the employer. Like if we meet a handsome boy or a beautiful girl or a handsome man or a beautiful lady and we try to entice them, what are we trying to do at that moment? We are trying to give our best, and we are trying to give something which is there in us, not something we can bring it which is not actually in us. The idea is that you have to entice your employer. Now, how are you going to really do that? Your resume is like a funnel, okay, which is broad in the opening, and then the employer walks inside your funnel. Now you have to ensure that the employer goes deep down. It takes a dive inside your resume and reads it aloud so that he gets interested in you. He gets interested in your information, and that's how you have to place the information. Now, in the beginning, it is broad when your employer is going inside it, right? But then if he will get bored, then what will happen? He will soon come out of it. For example, if we meet, as I said, if we meet a handsome guy or a beautiful lady, what happens is, if we are interested, then it continues. And if we are not interested, we kind of, we are done with it. So you don't want this meeting to get over. You want your employer to finally hire you. For that, you want him to know you well. For that, you want him to be there with you. So the broader part in a resume starts with your name. Now, at times we have 3 names, we have bigger surnames, we have our grandparents' name as well attached to our names because we want to give respect to them, and that's how it is. But the simpler it is, the first name and the last name, the easier it is for the employer, so that it goes into his subconscious as soon as he starts reading about your resume, right? So when he starts reading about your resume, he looks at your first name. After that comes your address. And then what comes? Then comes your contact details. Now, some of us, we like to give our handphone number, mobile number, but some of us even like to add on our landline number. Now, my advice to you is, it is better that we stick to one mobile number, or maximum the second one in case someone can't get through. But that should be the genuine one, where the employer can leave the message for you. They can leave the professional message to you. It should not be that they've called you on a landline, someone else picks up the phone, or a kid picks up the phone, and there is a background noise which is happening, which will not be professional. You want it to be to the point. You want it to the T. So for that, your resume must carry your mobile number. Then comes your email address. Now, we need to be very careful when we are writing our email address. The email address has to be simple and it has to be polished. It cannot be, imagine you are the employer, you are going through the resume and the email address says, I love you, I love cats, I love dogs, I love whatever. Do you find it professional? In fact, in case your name is maybe Namita Shukla, so what will happen is you are going to say namitashukla@gmail.com, shuklanamita@gmail.com, namita.shukla@gmail.com. The simpler your email address is, so as soon as he writes your name, he remembers your name, he writes your name. At times, your email address gets saved in your book. So as soon as he writes your name, he gets your resume. Don't let your employer hunt for your resume from the pile of the resumes that he's already holding, right? The resume has to be easier. The font has to be simpler, which is easy to read. It should not be some fancy ones. It is not a wedding card. It is not something where you have to show a lot of creativity. In fact, it has to be the more simpler, the more cleaner, the more easier it is for us to understand. We all, by nature, we all like cleanliness, right? So the resume should also look as neat and clean as possible. The employer needs to know who you are and what you are, how best you are in the things that you do. Like when we go and we meet our, as I gave you a best example of a handsome man or a beautiful lady, when we go and we meet them, what we are trying to do at that time, when we are trying to entice them, we are trying to show what is best in us. The same thing has to happen when we are writing our resume. The employer needs to know what is there good in you. What is your best part? So now we are coming to the body of the resume. We wrote our name, we wrote the contact address, and then we wrote the email address. After that, the body starts. Now the body should start with a reverse chronological order. We all are aware of it, but still, who don't? We need to know this. The latest company where you are working in should come first. And then in the order, you need to go back with your experience. The name of the company should come on your left side. As an employer, I'll be interested in knowing what are the companies you have worked at. Maybe if there are bigger names, if they are well-known names, there is Infosys, there is Deloitte. So the names, I've just given you an example. The names will give me a fair idea what kind of working environment you worked in. You have a basic knowledge of professional ethics that you need to follow. You know how it has been when you have to work in an organization. I get some idea about it because I know about the organization. So the name of the organization should come on your left side. The title on what exactly in that organization was your responsibility, what was your area, should come on the right. At times what may happen is you may be working for an organization or a company which is very good, but somehow I have not heard about the company. So maybe if you add on a line or so about the company, which is just describing the objective of that company, will make me know you and your company better. You may skip that line. You may tell that later on in your interview. But knowing about your company and the objective of the company and how were you useful that you could resonate with the objective of the company. What you actually did in the company which helped your company to achieve the objective that they were working at. Let's be very clear. What is our employer looking at? The employer is looking at either the revenue of the company, how you will be able to increase the revenue of the company, or he will be looking at how you can save the cost of the company, or maybe you're having some skill set which is going to add on to his organization. Now that you have to understand, this is what the employer wants from you. Now I need to know where do I fit in his company, and that's how I have to present my resume. So there are some people who make the activity based resume, there are some of us who make skill based resume, there are some of us who make action based resume. It depends on what kind of company that we are applying for and what kind of an individual I am. So if you have any such questions on these, you can write it in the comments box. I'll be able to respond to you accordingly. So now the scene is that the employer is looking for these. Now, how do I present myself best? I may have an experience of 3 months, I may have an experience of 6 months, I may have an experience of 9 months. If I am an investment banker, my job is to sell products or to get your investments done into mutual funds, into finance. So what will happen is I need to know my figure. How much revenue have I generated? What was my asset under management? What was my AUM? Whether I was handling a 10 crore book size or I was handling, whatever currency we are working at, what was the book size that I was working at? Now, if I take a completely different example from a different industry, now I am a hotelier, I'm working in a customer service industry. Now I'm meeting 5 customers in a day. So maybe in 20 days, how many customers are there that I am meeting? I have to quantify as the number of customers or as the number of people that I am meeting. How many people do I know? Do I meet? How good I was in giving them customer service? What were the feedbacks they had given us? So after the titles, we had done the name, we had done the contact details, we had done the companies and our title and what was our job role. There has to be a feature of highlights. Every employer would be interested in reading that, trust me, because I want to know that what is it that you have achieved, what has been your accomplishment. Now there may be a scenario at times we are working very hard, but we've not really got any certification from the company. But that certification, if you think you were good at, maybe you used to take care of the females of your organization, maybe you took some initiative in helping people during these difficult times of corona. Any initiative which you took for your company, you must write there, because if I am an employer and I'm looking at hiring you, I would like to see how good an asset you will be. Not only meeting the objective of my company, but also in helping creating a good environment in us, in having a teamwork. How good a team player have you been? How good a leader you have been, if you have been a leader. So the highlight portion is very important. The highlights of the resume is very important. And then you must add on whatever are your extracurricular activities. That is also something when I'm interviewing you, I may get interested in, because I'm so bored of talking about the subject whole day. I read your resume, I see your experience and I understand, okay, you're good at it, you know your subject, you've done the qualification, that can be verified. Now I want to know something more about you. So that may give me that space to know about you. So you should know that when you're writing it in your resume, there may be a question asked about it when you are going for an interview later, or the HR may ask you. So you have to have a background. You need to know yourself. You need to know who you are. You need to know what you are. You need to know what you have accomplished. In the end, I would suggest you must do a proofread. Now, how do we do a proofread? You must take a print of your resume. You must let your any brother, sister, friend read it, and you should read it yourself. At times, there are many words which are homonyms, like acceptance, exception, or compliment. So they should not have, you must do a spell check that you've used the right word, the right spelling. You must ensure that you have kept it cleaner. You should not have many paragraphs. The bold it is, the better it is. There has to be one simple layout or a simple template. The simpler, the easier to understand. You keep your resume, a single pager you keep it, makes my life easier and your life easier. Thank you so much guys for listening to me, being there with me. Do not forget to like, share and subscribe to my channel below.